Welcome, 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 welcome. Today is November the 4th, 2021, and you're on the sixth episode of the Uncommon Rapport with Elizaunique, who is the special guest, and our dear brother Gabe in the house. Snap it up and clap it up.
What's
Let's
going
snap.
on?
Let's get some snaps. What's happening? Talk to the people, Eliza. How you doing?
Hey y'all! I'm excited. I'm so excited to be here.
That's good. That's good. Gabe, how you doing, brother?
Man, I'm doing good. It's cold in South Carolina, and I'm happy about it, but I'm
Absolutely.
doing all right. All right.
Cool, cool, cool. Without further ado, um, we're gonna travel tonight. We're gonna travel through the life of Elizaunique and how she began this poetry venture. Um, how she actually began to even start writing. If it serves me correctly, I believe she started writing as a little girl. Am I correct? Yeah, she started as a little girl writing, entering contests, winning contests. So therefore, it already started clicking. But I'm gonna release it over to her, and she's gonna talk a little bit more about how she actually got started. So if you guys are ready, here we go. Elizaunique, guys, check her out.
Okay. Hey y'all again. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Kev, for allowing me to be here. You already know, being at Common Ground for me is my heart's desire. Common Ground is where I got my start when it comes to spoken word performance. Common Ground was the first stage I ever stepped foot on as far as performing spoken word. So I am so elated to be here, so glad to be back, especially at this time, like when it's a revamp in my artistry and in my career, so to speak. So I'm definitely excited to be here. Um, a writer. So Elizaunique as a writer, I have been writing literally for as long as I can remember. And I say that because, I may have been a little troublemaker growing up. And so I didn't have a TV for a long time. And so I turned to a love of books. And my love of reading turned into a love for writing and a passion for writing. And so I always say that before I am a poet, I'm a writer first. And that comes from being at Woodside High School and entering into creative writing competitions, participating in Summer Institute for the Arts, which is really big where I'm from in Virginia, for the arts kids anyway. So that's writing, that's dance, that's music. And that's really where I got my love for writing. I say that because I went from screenplays to short poems to long poems to stories, really just expanding writing as a whole. It's one thing, like I said, to be a poet. It's another thing to be a writer. I have a love for the English language, so that sets me apart as well. From the age of, how old was I? I have to ask my mom, like 14 to the age of about 16, I ran my church newsletter. So shout out to New Beginnings Outreach Center. Whoop, whoop. That's where I got my start too, performing and being and doing speeches and plays and having to do scripture, Old Testament scripture, New Testament scripture. So the background and the experience has always been there. Literally from writing articles to putting the articles into the newsletter format to conducting interviews of the church mothers, different things. Just writing has always been my passion. Writing has been an outlet for me, a therapeutic outlet. I'm really big on mental health, and for me, I use writing as a way to get through emotions, as a way to express feelings that I may not know how to verbalize immediately. When I write, it's a whole different ball game.
Cool. That is awesome. I have a few questions for you. Um, questions. So is Kevin, but I have one I want to know from you. So I heard you when you said that you let's back it up. So you are from where? Let's start there.
Okay, so I am from Newport News, Virginia. However, my
Okay.
family is from South Carolina. So I was born and raised in Newport News, Virginia. My dad was in the military, so that's where he retired at. So my roots are in 757. But my family is from Florence, South Carolina.
Come on, Florence.
Hey,
Okay, so that a okay, so I'm a new Florentine. I guess that's how you say that. But okay, good. So the question I wanted to ask you was I heard you when you said that you were a writer first, um, and then a poet. Like a writer first, then a poet. It's almost like it was an evolution. So do you think being a writer helped you formulate everything that you need to say on paper? Like is it the know-how, I guess, of writing helped you like kind of formulate it?
For me, I would definitely say that, and I say that because I started with reading, and then I went
Mm,
into writing. For me, when I write a poem, I'm telling a story, whether it's my
okay.
story, whether it's your story, whether it's Kev's story, whether it's the story of the girl across the street. I'm telling a story in every poem I write. It's up to the listener to grasp what I'm saying, but it's a story. So if you listen, I'm painting a picture in your head. I'm not just talking to
Mm,
you. I want you to get the bigger picture. I want you to hear my voice, but be drawing your own conclusion in your mind.
okay.
And
Okay.
so I think that being a writer really helped me to know how to piece that together. You have an introduction.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You have your middle part, your conflict. You have your resolution.
Mm,
All of that is what creates a storyline. And so for me as a poet, any poem I write has to have a storyline. It has to have a flow. It has to tell a story.
okay. That was good. That's that in a sense that was advice I think for a lot of up and coming poets to kind of make sure you know how to write in order for you to uh your poetry in a sense, like be able to, work it because you can write like I can say red roses like people roses are red roses are blue, that kind of basic poetry will be something like a haiku, but it works. It helps if you learn how to write, generally write first before you dive into that world. Dive into the world if that's what you choose to do. But I feel like just like I can say for Elizaunique, I just what she said is exactly where she put me when the first time I heard her. I painted the picture. She really was talking, really painting a picture in my head. That's why I never forgot you. that goes to show I never forgot. Like I hadn't even talked to about. So who is this again? I already knew who it was. So it's just that first impression I had, was a lasting impression. And like you, to me, is top as far as one of the greatest poets I've ever heard in my life. So, so yeah, I just wanted to, give you your flowers. People, I like giving people their flowers. So yeah, I had to say that. But yeah, who, as a poet, who is one of your top? I want to say top 5 poets that you love. They don't have to be talk them out if they're not. That's fine. But top 5.
Okay. So I honestly think I'm going to shock out with a few of these answers. So if I'm going to take it back a little old school, I would say Langston Hughes, an amazing African American writer. And for me, he was the person who drew pictures. And people are like, oh, Langston Hughes. And then I'm going to bring it to Maya Angelou.
I
Very
agree.
typical, but as a Black woman who believes and knows that I am strong, she is the epitome of perfecting your craft and standing in your craft and making a wave in a lane of her
Yeah.
own, and also for artists coming behind her.
Right.
Being that I am in New York now, so I went from being a South Carolina
Oh.
baby to being raised in Virginia. So I live in New York, the city where your dreams can literally come true. Um, I would say Alicia Harris. Alicia Harris is a younger artist, so she's probably in our age bracket. But when I say she's a phenomenal writer, and this is a person I would say is a writer first and then a poet, she's a phenomenal writer. She
Mm-hmm.
is amazing when it comes to wordplay, when it comes to figurative speech. A lot of her poems I literally have to listen to multiple times in order to really understand what she's saying. That's not a bad thing, because poetry can be taken for however you want to take it. How I write my poem is not just what I want you to get from it, it's
Yeah.
what you take from it, you know? So she was actually also one of the first. I used to
Okay.
watch her back in the day on, I don't know if you're familiar with the show. It was called Brave New Voices, and it was produced by Russell Simmons, and he had groups of different types of kids, black, white, Asian, and it was a slam competition. They filmed it. Alicia Harris, I found her on that show, and so a couple of years ago, I actually saw her. I came to New York, and my uncle, who was like a New York native, was gonna take you to everywhere in New York and show you, give you the best tour. He and my aunt took me to a poetry show, me and my sister Luana, and saw her in person, and I was literally floored. And before Kev pushed me into performing, that's really where I was like, yo, I can do this. Like, I want to be on a stage like that someday. Like, and I was grown, but I'm like, yo, I want to be on a stage like that. Like, she's awesome. She's amazing. So definitely her. And then I would say, I'm gonna stop at 3. I'm gonna stop there.
Okay.
Because I try not to, whether I like to read a lot of poetry, as an artist, I limit myself on what I intake, even when it comes to music. And that's just because I want to be authentic to myself as an artist. So it's not like I don't love music. I play clarinet and trumpet. I'm a lover of music. I'm a lover of poetry, of listening to spoken word artists. But over time, and this is me maturing as an artist, I noticed, like, if I listen to too many poems, then I'm writing something that's like to sound like kind of what she said. And I'm like, no, I don't like that. So I limit what I intake from other artists just because I want to remain authentic to myself. So
I think you bring up a good point about being
and you know what? That
authentic.
sound.
I think you bring up a good point about being authentic in your craft, and even if you listen to the radio, sometimes you can hear a tidbit of another individual. You can hear a cadence or a harmony or a riff or a run. You'd be like, they sound like such and such, and most likely that's someone who actually help them because that was their favorite person to listen to, you know. It's not a bad thing, but being authentic and just being able to take out a few moments for yourself, by yourself, in a peaceful place, and actually zoning out so that you can receive something fresh, so that can brew like a new revolution. I think that is key to developing your artistry. um so, as you begin to develop your artistry from being a little girl, just writing and then winning competitions and then going to poetry events and then even being able to see your dreams manifest before your eyes with common ground, what is one of the most difficult times that you had to endure on this journey?
I think, honestly, I think for me, it's one thing to be like, okay, I'm a poet and I'm a writer. And for me to say that to y'all or to my friends or to my family, it's another thing, because literally after my first Common Ground performance, and like Kevin can attest to this, after my first Common Ground performance, I literally was having shows at least once a month, if not multiple shows in a month. And so for me, it was like, oh my God. Y'all, like, it was a dream come true. No matter how small or how big, whether I was getting paid, whether it was free, it didn't matter. Just to be able to come to a platform and showcase my talent, and people actually wanted to hear what I had to say, that was enough for me. And so the hard part was I got to a point where I was taking bookings, and as an artist, I wasn't ready. Meaning, it's okay to take bookings, but make sure you have your content. Make sure that you have something to give the people. And so then I would realize, I'm like, Kev, oh, wait a minute, I can't come. Or Kev, I can't do A, B, and C. And when you're a new artist, you don't really have room for error, if that makes sense. You don't have room to stop giving content, because that's what they're looking for. They want to hear what you have to say. They're listening. So while they're listening, feed them. While you have the people's ear, go ahead and get that message out. Get that, whatever it is, get it out there, because they're listening and they're hungry. But if you come into dinner and I don't have nothing but some noodles, at some point you're gonna be like, listen, can I get some steak or some potatoes? I don't even need some low steak. Let me get some spaghetti. A little bit, you know what I'm saying? A little bit of hamburger spaghetti sauce. Like, simple but more effective. You feel me? Than a pack of noodles or a peanut butter jelly sandwich. So I really was just taking it because the opportunities were there, but I was forgetting that, hey, you're a person who, you're still learning, you're still growing, you're still, learning who you are as an artist. And that's going to take time. Do not overbook yourself. Don't overdo it. Don't rush the process. Trust the process. Do not rush it. Trust it. Like, God's timing is perfect. So if they want you this month, they'll want you next month. That would be my thing to myself, is like, take time. Take time.
She actually gave a great tip about preparing yourself and taking the time to prepare yourself. Um, she definitely is a dope artist who actually has a unique style and a unique way that she fluidly spits her pieces. Almost like the segment we're getting ready to go into. We're getting ready to hear one of her first pieces that she's ever wrote. I'm gonna go ahead and introduce this one. Uh, we call her Elizaunique, but somehow she was still worth saving. So I'm gonna let her go ahead and spit this piece for you guys, so you can actually hear some of her writings.
Okay. So Kev definitely hit it. This piece is called Worth Saving. I call this my signature piece. This was the first piece that I ever wrote for performance. It was the first piece that I wrote to take the stage at Common Ground. Um, it's funny, that was 3 years ago, 4 years ago, maybe. I don't know, maybe longer than that. And this piece is still relevant to my life today. Um, And so I really want you all to listen to the words, um, and let it just hit you wherever it may. Wherever it hits you, let it hit you, um, and just enjoy it. So without further ado, I'm Elizaunique, a wretch done but somehow still worth saving, and this is Worth Saving. I said, I'm a wretch undone, but somehow still worth saving. So sin stained, I'm displaced in the very world I live in, conforming. So sin stained, I'm displaced in the very world I live in, conforming. But I say I'm living, so I guess death is the wage, and I'm willing to pay it, because nothing about my lifestyle is changing. I'm changing because love is no longer love. It's more of a business arrangement to see who needs more. And quite frankly, I need more love. I'm gonna run that back. Love is no longer love. It's more of a business arrangement to see who needs more love. And quite frankly, I need more love. Fill the empty shell that once pumped warm with the blood. Ventricles motionless, heart feeling cold. I said, fill the empty shell that once pumped warm with the blood. Ventricles, they're failing, heart motionless, heart feeling cold. I'm broken. But even broken pieces create beautiful masterpieces called mosaics. And God doesn't make a habit of using those that are spotless. So I'm stain drenched, no hiding the blemishes. I'm somewhere trying to get high enough to reach redemption. I'm running that back. I'm somewhere trying to get high enough to reach redemption. But at some point, you realize high enough and redemption are two different things. You can't place them in the same category because they're not the same. And so I'm fighting. I'm fighting for joy I can't explain, for something to fill that empty space. And so I prayed for a day like this. A broken spirit and contrite heart like this. A solution to the madness and a cure to the sadness. But I digress, because late night creeping and early morning prayers don't automatically save us. Late night creeping and early morning prayers don't automatically save us. Just like emotion-filled Sunday morning worship doesn't penetrate them, so it has to be real. God sent his only son, Jesus Christ, down to earth, manger born, just to ultimately save you and I. So I'm glad he sent the son to save a wretch undone like me. Thank you.
Let's snap it, clap it up. Woo! That's one of the faves right there. All right, good guys, good guys. We are still live in effect, going in to a wretch undone, but yet still, somehow, still worth saving. Elizaunique has a unique gifting when it comes to the way she